Now, we're less than 3 weeks away from the general election, and the Manifesto for Young Britain that we're launching today shows, for me, just why this campaign is so important. We've run the biggest youth engagement anyone can remember in politics. Thousands of young people have contributed to our manifesto. With our parliamentary team, Ivan Lewis, Liam Byrne, Lisa Nandy and Jan Royal, who've travelled all over Britain talking to young people. And I hope today shows that we have listened to you. You'll get the chance to ask me questions about what's in my manifesto, and I will hand on the difficult questions to Ivan Lewis, who is with us today, and the really difficult questions to Liam Byrne, who's also with us. But look, today we're here to say what I think all of you know, what young people all over the country know, which is that Britain can be better than this for all of our young people, and that is what a Labour government will deliver. And we know that Britain's future depends on the energy and creativity of our young people, your ambition and your dreams. And unlike this government, we believe it is our duty to support every single one of you to be the best you can be, so that our country can be the best it can be. And over the last 5 years, I've been talking about what I call the promise of Britain. The promise of Britain, for me, says that the next generation should do better than the last. I actually think it's the way you judge the progress and the future of a country. It's the promise that our country was built on. And my generation grew up confident that that promise would be fulfilled. But it's a promise that for your generation has been broken. With this government, it's young people, more than any other group, that has paid the price of hard times. A future of growing debt, of increasingly insecure work, and of a home of your own being too often a distant dream. That isn't the future that I believe in. It's not the future that you believe in. And the next Labour government is determined to build a different future for our young people. And let me tell you today about our plan. It's a plan for education, for jobs, for housing, and indeed for the future of our country. It starts with education. We believe in a simple principle. Whoever you are, whatever your background, whatever your talents, you deserve a chance to get on. So whether your talents lie in academic or vocational subjects, we'll support you. We'll support you with a gold standard vocational route through education. We'll support you with a world-class technical baccalaureate. We'll support you with proper work experience in school. We'll support you with one-to-one careers guidance. We'll support you with a new technical degree at our universities. And if you get the grades for the first time, the next government will support you by guaranteeing an apprenticeship for our young people. If you get the grades, we'll guarantee you an apprenticeship. That's the first time any government has made that promise, and we will deliver. And of course, it's also about making sure we support you when you go to university. Debt shouldn't be weighing you down when you should be taking flight. And you know, look, there's an interesting history on this, isn't there? 5 years ago, Nick Clegg made the promise on tuition fees, and he broke the promise. 4 years ago, I said to young people I'd cut the tuition fee to £6,000. And lots of people said, oh, well, he's not going to keep his promise. I am going to keep my promise. I am going to keep my promise, because it's about the future of young people in our country. It's about faith in politics in our country. That's why the next Labour government will cut the tuition fee from £9,000 to £6,000, a promise fulfilled for our young people. And we'll do something else. We'll increase maintenance grants by £400 a year to support students from low-income backgrounds too, because I know how hard it is for young people to cover their costs. And look, I will be a Prime Minister that recognises that it's the duty of my generation, for you and for the country, to do right by your generation. Now, the second part of our plan is about good quality jobs. I think there's nothing more important than this. Young people shouldn't be stuck waiting on the sidelines trying to start their career. Over the last 5 years, average wages have fallen further for young people than for any other group. That's a consequence of the economy that we have. Nearly 40% of people under the age of 30 are on low pay in our country. Young people are 3 times more likely to be on a 0-hours contract than the rest of the population. Ian Duncan Smith has today tried to rename zero-hours contracts as flexible contracts. We don't need to rename zero-hours contracts. We need to ban exploitative zero-hours contracts, and that's what the next Labour government will do. And the reason is this. I don't think you should be waiting for the early morning text message that tells you whether you've got work that day or not. That is just not good enough for our young people. It makes it harder to plan for the future when you can't even plan for the day ahead. So we'll create jobs that are better paid and more secure. We'll also guarantee a job with proper training and a proper wage for every young person who's been out of work for more than a year. But we know something else. Too often the jobs in our country are low paid, low skilled, and insecure. And that's not just about zero-hours contracts. That is about the way our economy works more generally. And that takes me to the issue of unpaid internships. Because unpaid internships are an area where no government has acted ever before. And it's time to tackle what is becoming an increasing problem for so many young people. Because in this country, if you want a good job in a sought-after sector, you're often asked to work for free, month after month after month. And that puts careers in highly prized jobs in the arts, media, fashion, finance, and law out of reach for huge numbers of highly able young people. And you know, this is one of the biggest things that's come through in our consultation, as Ivan was saying to me earlier on today. It's not fair, it's not right, and actually, it prevents our companies drawing on all the talents our nation has to offer. So we're going to put a stop to it. We will ban firms from offering more than 4 weeks unpaid work experience. To the young people of our country, I say if you do work experience with a company for more than 4 weeks, under a Labour government, you'll get paid at least the minimum wage. It's time to end a system that's rigged in favour of those who can afford it. It's time to open up careers in all the top professions to all our young people. It's time to end the scandal of unpaid internships in our country. So it's a better plan for better jobs for Britain's young people. And our better plan tackles the housing crisis too. Because the British dream of owning your own home is disappearing for too many. It's about a whole generation locked out of the housing market, having to live at home or renting privately, even if they'd like to buy. Too often with high rents, low standards, and insecure tenancies. We must get our country building again. And that's what our plan does. At least 200,000 homes a year by the end of the Parliament. It's actually the first proper plan for house building in a generation. And I think it gives hope to those who want to own their own home. But we also want to make a difference to those who rent as well. And so many young people rent in the private sector and find themselves ripped off. We're going to put a stop to it. We're going to have a ban on letting agents' fees, saving hundreds of pounds for millions of young people. We're going to end short-term tenancies with legislation to make 3 years the norm. And in those 3 years, a ceiling on rent hikes, so you know changes will be kept to a predictable level. Because we know that everyone deserves the security of a home of their own. Now, the final part of our plan is about the character of our country. I want to say this. There's nothing that gives me more hope for the future than the ambition, confidence, and generosity of spirit of young people in Britain today. You know, too often, our politicians and others do down young people. I think we should celebrate the young people of our country. And the task of the next Labour government is to work with you to harness that spirit for the future of our country. That is about a more tolerant and open society. It is about a new effort to tackle discrimination wherever we find it, because I believe in equality. And it's also about something else. You know, when I think about the biggest duty I have to my kids, I think of the issue of climate change. Because I think they will ask when they're grown up, were you the last generation not to get climate change or the first generation to get it? I know that it's an incredibly important task that falls to my generation. And one other thing. Young people are the future of our democracy too. We've said we'll improve citizenship education, and we will. But it's time to do something else, which is long overdue in our country. And the next Labour government will do it by May 2016. And that's to give the vote to 16 and 17-year-olds, so you have a voice in our democracy. So this is the plan. This is the plan that I am fighting for. You know, I think we have a once-in-a-generation chance to build a better future for the next generation. And I think I know what you know, which is Britain can be so much better than this for our young people. I know Britain can be better than this. You know Britain can be better than this. I think the British people know Britain can be better than this. Together, friends, let's make it happen. Thank you very much.